Cola, 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 la la la, cola, cola, tra la la, cola, 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 shoop-dee-doo, cola, cola.
Okay, hi everybody. It's me, Anime Mr. Singer. And we're going to just do a little bit of a review here of the first 3 lessons in this chapter. Because guess what? We're going to have a quiz on them, the first 3 lessons. So pay attention to this and then the quiz will be easy. And also this is all just like pretty much straight out of your homework. So the first thing we're doing here is we are converting the decimals to fractions, right? Decimals to fractions. So I'll do a couple and then you do one. So remember 0.7, we are just, remember if it's a decimal, it's always over either 10 or 100 or 1,000 depending how many places. So this has one decimal place, is one number after the decimal, so that means it's going to be 7 over 10. One place after the decimal means 1 0 here. Got it? And 0.8 becomes 8 over 10. Now on 7 over 10 we couldn't reduce it, but here you can reduce. So you got to make sure you do that. So what do we divide by? Well, 2. They're both even numbers, so we divide by 2. That's the biggest number that fits in. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that one is 4/5. Cool. So now you try this one, 0.75. Hint, you should have this memorized. Ready, go. All right, so you should have that. If you don't have it memorized, you can still do 75 over 100, and then the biggest number that fits into both of these is 25. 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So 0.75 is the same as 3/4. Cool. Okay, so now we're doing the opposite. We're converting the fractions into decimals. And so there's one of these that's kind of hard. Let me just show you this first one. And then maybe you can do the second one. Okay, so on this one, usually we do something equals 100, right? So we're going to do something equals, make the denominator be 100. But 75 times nothing is 100. So I'm going to do what it says here. I'm going to reduce the fraction and then make the denominator 100. So here I can divide both sides by what? By 3, right? Divide by 3, divide by 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is, I'll put it up here, 3. 75 divided by 3 is 25. So now, this is still not a decimal, right? So now I have to turn 3 over 25 into a decimal. And remember, decimals, for this case, it's going to be over 100, right? Sort of like a percent. 25 times 4 equals 100. 3 times 4 equals 12. And so now if you have 12 over 100, you know that's the same as 0.12. Clear? All right, so I'll leave that up. Why don't you try this one, 12 over 75. Ready, go. Okay, so you should have done the same thing. In fact, we can even divide by the same number. We're going to divide by 3, which is going to give us 25, and divide by 3 here, which 12 divided by 3 is 4. So then we have just 4 over 25, but now we have to turn it into a decimal, and remember it has to have a denominator of 100 because there's 2 digits here. So we're going to do equals blank over 100. 25 times 4 is 100, so 4 times 4 is 16. So to turn this into a decimal, it would be 0.16. Cool. All right. Now why don't you try the last one, 8 over 20. Ready, go. All right, so you should have had, it's going to equal something over 100. That's how we get started. 20 times 5 is 100, and 8 times 5 is 40. So then you have equals 0.5 for 0, or you could have just 0.4. It's the same thing. Remember, when there's a 0 at the end, you don't really need it. Cool. Okay, so now we're on to, I think this was lesson 2. Write these percentages as reduced fractions. Well, hopefully you have this one memorized, right? So let's just do this in case you forgot. 25% means 25 over 100, right? And then you reduce it. Well, we can divide both sides by 25, which would give us 1. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. And hopefully that's one of the ones you had memorized. 25% is 1/4. Okay, now you try 20%. Ready, go. All right, so you should have had, first you make it 20 over 100. Then we reduce it. So you can cancel off the zeros. You get 2 over 10. And divide both sides by 2. And you get 1 over 5. Or you could have divided by 20. And last one, you do that one. Ready, go. All right, so you should have 4 over 100. And then 4 over 100, you're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 100 divided by 4 is 25. So you should have 1 over 25. Cool beans. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is, if you notice, so it's writing fractions as percent. It's very similar to writing fractions as decimals. It's almost the same thing. So 3/4, hopefully that's one you have memorized. So why don't you just do that one? 3/4, what percent is it? Go. All right, so you should have that it is 75%. You just need to have that one memorized. All right, so now I'll do this one. So if you want to write 5 over 20 is a percent, remember percent means over 100, right? So what do you have to do? Times 5 equals that. And so then you have to do times 5 here. So that is 25 over 100, which is what percent? It just means 25%. All right, so in the same way, you're going to do this one. So you try 11 over 25, turn it into a percent. Ready, go. All right, so you should now know that over 100, right, because that's what a percent is, times 4 times 4, sorry, messy writing. So times 4 there, so 11 times 4 is 44 over 100, which is 44%. Great job. All right, so now we're almost at the end. This is the last lesson we did. Convert the percents to decimals, right? So remember, percent just means over 100. So this is the one where we just move the decimal place a couple times, right? So 31% is really 31.0. So whenever it's going from to decimal, you move it 2 places. 1, 2. So this would be 0.31. So remember, you're always going to do 1, 2. You're always moving 2 to the left on this one. So what would 5% be? Ready, go. Right, so 5%, you're going to move it 1, 2 places, right? Put the decimal, and in the empty space, put a 0, so your answer is going to be 0.05. Now you do the same thing with 2%. Ready, go. Okay, so that should be 1, 2, and that should be 0.02. 0.02 is your answer. Awesome. All right, so now we're almost done. Now we're doing the opposite, right? So now we're going to do, you have the decimal place, and you're going to go 1, 2 that way to go from decimal to percent. So I'll do this one for you. So 0.79, we're just going to do 1, 2, decimal goes right there, so that means it's 79%. Okay, now you do this one. Ready, go. 0.03, you should have 1, 2, decimal there, which means it's just going to be 3%. Okay, now you do this last one. Ready, go. Okay, so you're still going to move it 2 places, right? 1, 2, decimal point. What goes in the empty space? That goes in the empty space is 0. So now your answer should be regular old 10%. All right. right, so here's the last one. 85% of Mr. Singer's students play guitar. What fraction, reduced fraction, of his students do not play guitar? Notice that do not is all capital, and I'm underlining it now, and you have to put in a fraction as your answer. So this is very important. So if 85% of Mr. Singer's students do play guitar, we have to do 100 minus 85 to figure out how many don't play guitar, or what percent does not. So 100 minus 85 is 15. So now we know that 15% don't play guitar, right? So now we just need to convert 15% to a fraction, a reduced fraction. So that is going to be 15 over 100. We reduce that. We can divide both sides by 5. By 5, divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 3 out of 20 kids do not play guitar. All right. So these problems, either these exact ones or ones very similar, are going to be on your quiz that's coming up. So.
Ja, ist ja gut. Die Kohle nehmen wir natürlich auch nochmal mit, weil ich so eine alte Mineralienhure bin. Da ist noch Kohle.